Hi, this is Melanie from Artifact and Landmark. If you watched our video about Harry Beck's fall from Bluff Street, then you'll already know a few facts about this street and its stairs. Today, Bluff Street has one set of stairs, which you can see along with Pittsburgh's 800 staircases on this map from the Pittsburgh city site. The current Bluff Street Steps are located at the Duquesne University campus, starting on Bluff Street and ending on 2nd Avenue by the entrance to the Armstrong tunnel. This photo from 1919 shows the newly constructed concrete steps, and this one from 1927 shows a picture where these steps end by the newly constructed Armstrong tunnel. Unfortunately, today the off-ramp of the 376 obscures the sign and most of the tunnel's archways. Now, Harry Beck's tragedy didn't happen at these steps, but at the historic Marion steps that exist from about the 1870s until about the 1910s. We'll run through the history of these steps along with others that connected Bluff Street to 2nd Avenue. Now, Bluff Street, located in Pittsburgh's Bluff neighborhood, is just south of the point. Bluff Street started its life as Bank Street. Seen on this map, we then see it as Ayers Street in newspaper clippings and from this original Marion Pride Plan from 1835. This also tells you where the adjoining streets of Marion Pride get their names. We see Bluff Street in the 1847 directory, and it ran along what was colorfully called the brow of the hillside. Although some form of steps may have existed before 1871, we know from an article dated April of 1870 that there was no easy way to get to 2nd Avenue at this time other than what was described as dangerous paths. In July of 1870, the City Council approved 3 sets of stairs on Bluff Street, and in November of that year, the contract was awarded to John King to begin construction. Another issue on Bluff Street was that people were accidentally falling down the hillside. In April 71, a new fence is approved, and it couldn't come fast enough, with 2 women falling down the hillside within a week of each other in July of that year. On the Hopkins map of 1872, we can see 2 sets of stairs. The first steps are between Chestnut and McGee Street. The second set of steps are shown at Pride Street. These may not have been the precise location, since we see an article in 1874 that recaps the cost of barricades and repairs to Marion and McGee Street steps. But in 1875, we also see a contract awarded for the construction of steps at Chestnut Street, so the old steps at McGee may have been abandoned. Now, in 1882, we see a new way of getting up the bluff. It arrives with the construction of the Fort Pitt Incline at McGee, which cost 5 cents per fare. The charges did vary, since it also would carry horses and wagons up the hillside, as well as fire trucks. So the president of the Fort Pitt Incline was a controversial figure. His name was William Flynn. One source reports, too, that one of the 2 engines for this incline was nicknamed Billy Flynn. By 1889, the stairs at Chestnut seemed abandoned, with the incline and the Marion Steps remaining. The incline operated from about 1882 to 1900. At first, the Fort Pitt Incline had over 300,000 passengers per year, but by 1894, that number had dwindled to 135,000. This also gives us some insight into how many people were accessing the bluff on a daily basis during the 1880s. Major mechanical failure and injuries in 1898, along with increasing financial troubles, saw the incline shut down at the end of 1900. In 1902, a former employee who was bitter over significant back wages attempted to set fire to the incline. He was almost 71 years old at the time. He received a suspended sentence and passed 2 years later. Once we get to 1906, we see that the only choice is 2 sets of stairs again. We see the city has installed step at Chestnut Street by Duquesne University. On this map, we also see the abandoned Fort Pitt Incline, and then to the right, we see the steps at Marion. By this time, getting around is getting much easier with automobiles, more streetcars, more bridges, and the regrading of many streets. We have a photo from the road work done on 2nd Avenue, which we showed you in the other video, and it shows the base of the chairs at Chestnut Street. We also have a photo taken after the completion of those street improvements on 2nd Avenue and taken in 1914, and this offers a much better view of the steps, which you can see are made of wood, which was typical at the time. So in 1919, the city takes over the Fort Pitt Incline property due to back taxes owed to the city, and they began to build new concrete steps at the foot of McGee Street, which are pictured here. These are the stairs known today as the Bluff Street Steps or the Bluff and 10th Street City Steps. We can also see them in this picture from 1921, which is taken from across the Monongahela River. That year in 1921, the city also starts to build a new thoroughfare, the Boulevard of the Allies. By 1923, the only steps remaining are the ones at McGee. In 1927, the new Armstrong Tunnel at 2nd Avenue is completed, and we can see in this picture what the base of the steps looked like at the time. The Bluff City Steps are still used today, and they were repaired in 2025, which gave us some insight into the importance of those steps for those who work, study, and live in this area. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Bluff Street Step and a bit more about Pittsburgh during the 1870s to the 1920s. Subscribe to learn more about the history of Pittsburgh, the people, and the landmarks.